And I will begin by saying welcome to International Dowsing Day 2021. Grahame and I are so happy to have a huge panel. I'd like to turn everything over to Grahame at this point, and we'll join together and have some dowsing fun. Grahame.
Thank you, Susan. This is the second year that we've done this, and this is actually the 10th year of International Dowsing Day. We started it in 2012, it's the first one, so this is our 10th anniversary. So I'd just like to go around and introduce everybody on our panel, and I'm just going in my screen order here. So to the side of me, we have Peter Knight and Sue Wallace. Just give everybody a wave. And then we have Richard Frye from the British Society of Dowsers. And we have Gladys McCoy from the Ozark Research Institute. And Beth Rosman from the American Society of Dowsers. Gwyn Pollitt from the Devon Dowsers. Dr. Jin Pei, Feng Shui from Dubai. Hi, Jin. Alessandro Previdi from Italy, Italian Society of Radionics and Dowsing. Then we have Danny Blitz, who is the producer and executive director of Superpower, and Nobu Kato, president of the Japanese Society of Dowsers. So thanks everybody for joining us. I hope this is coming through for you okay. I'll just talk a little bit about how International Dowsing Day came about for those of you who are watching who might not be familiar with this. It was proposed in 2011 by Mike Barwell, who's a BSD member, and he thought we needed a national day to honor and celebrate dowsing. So we decided on the 5th of May for this, which is the official date, but it's more practical for people to go out and do their dowsing at the closest weekend, which is what how it tends to happen nowadays. And so this very weekend, today and tomorrow, lots of dowsers are gathering in small groups whenever possible, given the current restrictions, just to go out and dowse their special spot closest to them. So if the weather is good, I encourage you to go and do that. And it's great, actually. I've noticed in the lockdown situation that we've all been in over the last year or so, there's been a lot more interest, I think, in dowsing and these sort of esoteric arts. Seems to have developed, and of course everybody's online now, so it's difficult to actually get out and do any practical work. But I think it's encouraging that more people do seem to be getting interested in this. So let me turn to how our national societies can help with this. So I'll turn to Richard Frye, who is acting president of the British Society of Dowsers. Richard, how are things with you?
Fine, thank you. Yes, very good. Yeah, we have had obviously a few problems with in the COVID scenario, but we're still here, and we're looking to make progress.
Yeah, and tell me a bit about yourself and what's your dowsing interests and how did you come to join the society?
Well, I retired about 9 years ago after 30 years in the fire service, and it was about 4 years ago that I joined the local Gower group, and I was really interested. I went to one of Christopher Strong's, one of his last workshops. I noticed that you got 10% discount if you're a member of the BSD. So I joined the BSD. I thought it was a good idea. And I was hooked then. So about 2 years ago, I joined the BSD as a trustee. And of course, our president, Grahame Waite, unfortunately has been quite ill recently. And I was allocated his presidential duties, so that's why I'm here, just representing our president. But it's a real honour to be here, so thank you for inviting me.
Oh no, thank you so much for coming along. I was very impressed with your Zoom skills when I was attending the BSD AGM, which was entirely on Zoom.
I was amazed as well.
Yeah. So how do you think the society is coping with reaching out to all its members in the present situation? And how do you think things are going to improve?
Well, we haven't done so well with the, for example, webinars. We actually need quite a bit of help. We're very depleted on the council, and we're hoping to encourage more trustees to come forward with these skills to reach out to more people. But in general, the society, it is a big communication hub. We've got our email system. We have a professional register, and we connect people together who need help, and I find that really satisfying. Yeah, it's a really good aspect of it. Of course, we've got the magazine as well to promote knowledge. People pass on knowledge and experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is really important, why we have national societies and why people need to support their national societies, because it is, as you say, it is the main hub for bringing people together and communicating. That so many people are just out there acting on their own they don't really have any direction or focus. And that's maybe one of the downsides of the present lockdown situation. I think there is a sort of lack of focus and a lack of training with a lot of people. I'll ask Beth now. Beth, you're a trustee of the American Society. How's the society coping over there?
Beth will need to unmute.
Yes, hey, thank you, Graham. Yeah, we're doing pretty well. We're having our upcoming conference, June 6th, June 9th through the 13th. And again, I think it's a lot of what Richard mentioned too. We're attempting to serve as a resource to people and let people know that they still have a place to go. But we're in a transition phase because our demographic is one that some people don't have email addresses, or not able to get the internet where they're at. And then even before the lockdown, the ASD moved their quarterly digest online. And so I think while it has been rather a controversial topic of people wanting it online or in hard copy, I'm glad that they did the online transition, because that again is sort of paving the way. And last year we had our annual conference, as most of you know, online. So I think that we've done pretty well, and our bookstore continues to get great orders. And I'll just put a plug in for our hosts, Susan and Graham. Your books are in our bookstore, and they're doing great. So our bookstore is a great resource. So I think we're doing, fairly well, as can be expected. But again, we just always need new volunteers and new intellectual resources.
Yeah, I mean, possibly the ASD is in a better position to cope with working at a distance, because you are so widespread. You have chapters all over the country, and you're forced to meet online or on telephone conferences just to have your meetings, which is something we're not maybe as used to in the UK. So yeah, I'm glad that things are going well for the ASD. Gladys, Ozark Research Institute. Tell me a bit about what you guys do, because many people will not be familiar with the Ozark
Gladys,
Research
can you
Institute.
unmute? Gladys, could you please unmute?
You need to unmute your microphone. You need to unmute, Gladys. You need to click the little microphone icon down at the bottom corner.
Or maybe we can move on to the next person while Gladys unmutes.
Okay, let's move to Alessandra. Ciao.
Okay, let me just make sure that she...
Oh, no, we got Gladys. We got Gladys.
Got unmuted.
Oh, Gladys is in. Okay. Sorry.
I told you I have Joyce.
That's
okay?
good.
Yes, it is. Well, we as an organization, I think the COVID thing actually has forced us into doing more online, and it's been a very beneficial thing for us. We've had our healing meditation circle every Tuesday night at 7:30 in Arkansas, and we have people joining us from all over the world, and it's grown, and it's gotten just absolutely phenomenal to have all these people join us on Tuesday night and be able to send that loving, healing energy out to the world and to other people. And of course, we've done 2 online virtual conferences because we couldn't do anything in-house, and they were free. We called them Love, Light, and Learning. And we still have one on that we just got through with, and it'll be on until the end of May. And if you just go onto our website, ozarkresearch.org, it'll tell you all of the different things that we've got going on, how to sign up for it. The members page is there, the donation page is there, everything is there for you. And you can sign up for the virtual conference. We have, we are going to try. Trying is lying, I understand. But anyway, we have planned a conference for the end of August, the last weekend in August. And it's going to be a Power Thought School where you get the teaching and it's experiential so that you actually do the work that you're being taught. And they will be 3-hour classes, and people take away with them something that they can use. So we stay fairly active, even though we haven't had an in-house meeting until next weekend. I'm gonna give them a try. And I've told them they have to wear masks, they have to socially distance. And our group is such a touchy-feely group, just as the Dowsers have been all these years. I mean, we just can't help ourselves. We have to hug. And they have threatened me and said they were going to go behind the building and hug so that they don't do it in front of me. So anyway, that's what's going on at ORI. And we're trying to really stick in there and keep it going. So
Peter and Sue are hugging.
yeah.
One advantage of having both your working partners together in the same
Having
place.
somebody together, yes.
Yeah. So, well, thank you. That was great.
Yeah.
Well, could we hear about the Flagstaff Conference?
Oh yes, that was the
Gladys.
Flagstaff
Okay.
Conference.
The Flagstaff Conference is going to be October the 7th through the 11th. It's a dowsing conference. And I'm going to do the keynote. The keynote is going to be who will fill their shoes. You know, we've had so many wonderful, outstanding dowsers and light workers in the American Society of Dowsers all these years. And frankly, dowsing didn't grab me. It was the people that were in dowsing that got me to join the society and be a part of it. And they were so special, so very, very special. And so I'm going to talk about those people that came before us and the light and the love that they brought to the world and to the association, and the good that they have done, and hopefully recruit somebody who is willing to fill their shoes and be more active in the dowsing community. So,
And this will be a live conference as well.
it's going to be a live conference
Yeah.
in Flagstaff, Arizona. Yes, it's one of my favorite places, and I love going to Flagstaff. So it's going to be fun. It will they will have a dowsing school and many speakers. I don't know all the speakers, but there will be a large group of them. So. Oh, Susan and Grahame and myself, and is Roz going to be Beth going to be there too? Okay, and well, good. We'll have a reunion in October. So,
And hopefully we can hug by then.
hopefully.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It is totally true that dowsers are some of the nicest people to hug that you can
They
find.
really are. It's just so special.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a big, lovely family.
Yeah.
So.
They are a big family, and like I said, the dowsers are what got me, not dowsing, when I first started. So, and they were special people. So.
Mm-hmm. Let's move over to Italy and Alessandra. How are things with you and the society? What's happening?
Like all of you, we have had a difficult year. Having to stay at home, it was impossible to continue our courses, and even less to continue our mission abroad. You know, we have radionics without borders. We go teaching radionics in Latin America and in Africa. But as Gladys said, what seems like a disaster proved to be an excellent opportunity. On the other hand, if we can say so, we started doing online coursing on Zoom, and this allowed us to significantly expand the number of students. So I thought it was impossible to teach dowsing online, but it proved to be a real possibility at the end. When the pandemic started, and even afterward, we set up a Telegram dowsing group to help hospitals, health personnel, and the sick using dowsing protocols, we were working together. Some nurses that was friends of our students contacted us, and we put their hospitals in the project to be treated. And they kept us informed of how things were going. And generally, the situation was relaxing. There was less stress, confusion, and panic. And so it was very nice to be able to lend a hand, invisible but effective, with our tools, our radionics and dowsing. And even today, we still follow the working group, dowsing group, but now for vaccine problems. So we have created dowsing protocols to be done before and after vaccination, since these vaccines are experimental and it's not clear what they cause in the body in the immediate and long term. So in Italy, the lockdown has come with ups and downs. Currently, most of the restrictions are ending as the population is vaccinated, but the situation is still a little nightmare. So it's not over yet, as in all the part of the world, I think. But talking about our project now, a few months ago, we started a collaboration with a group of Russians who are expert in infovision. Infovision is a technique that was once used by the KGB to read the heads of military and politicians, and so they can look at various informational levels of reality and observe the change. So I asked them to study the use of pendulum on the informational level, the emission of various pendulum, radionic instruments, and our techniques to understand what really happens when we use them at the subtle level. It will be long, but I'm enthusiastic. This is very exciting for me, and will involve other dowsers and radionics practitioners around the world. So this is some of the project. And finally, for some months, we have been streaming on Facebook every week to hosting the teacher of the school and who can make themselves known and present their courses. And I would like to soon invite other personality in our fields. So get ready to participate sooner or later. I would be really helped to introduce you to the Italian dowsers.
Excellent. That's really exciting about the connection with Russia, because dowsing is much more accepted in Russia. It's more of a scientific discipline. It doesn't get the same sort of ridicule that it does in some parts of the rest of Europe. So I'm very excited to hear that, and yeah, do keep us posted on that. Susan, I'm going to come back to you just for a second.
Oh, you missed me there, darling.
I did miss you there. Yes, I'm sorry. I jumped over you in the running order. Probably because you've been talking too much.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I'm happy to share what we're doing in Canada. I'm past president of the Canadian Society of Dowsers, and we've been going on since the 60s. And, in the old days, we're together, and in the new days, we also are doing virtual monthly meetings. And really, we're still in lockdown in Ontario, where I am, and where a lot of us are. So we can't leave the house. But again, as we've all said, virtual meetings are really helping us stay connected and together. The Canadian Society of Questers, which is in the western part of Canada, they are also running virtual meetings and staying together. The beauty of travel is that we have all met for the most part in person. So as we shift into the virtual reality, sometimes it's a bit easier. So the societies are continuing on. I've been teaching at least 2 workshops a month for the past year, doing dowsing boot camps and specialty workshops. So that's been fabulous. Again, it's bringing together international people. We're not bound by space and time. I did a big workshop in May with the Japan Society of Dowsers with Kato-san. And it's wonderful that we can simply be together with my clients, because I have a client base, I have found one of the things over the past year is working with mass consciousness, because we're in isolation. There's so much that we can't do, and people are feeling kind of down, and a lot of it can be mass consciousness. So we try to separate ourselves from the despair, if we can call it that, and working alone. One of the things I think we know is that we all need meaningful work, and that as dowsers, that we can, even though we can't go places, we can energetically make contributions. So the meaningful work that we can do, I think, is quite profound, and assisting with mass consciousness and education. The wonder of our time now is that what we do is not a secret, that what we do, we can share without fear of being, we won't be mocked at home, but we're not going to be burned at the stake. So that's the good news of all this. One piece of information I got recently is through an excellent book called The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg, which talks, for anybody who is electrically sensitive, it's the history of the effect of electricity on the human body. I recommend it highly. I don't sell it, but I recommend it. One thing I noticed, I started having symptoms of tinnitus some time back, but I now believe that I am simply hearing electricity for the most part. So I think it's a time for research as we are together alone, if we can say it that way. So I'm very excited, and I'm really happy to be with you all today and to share what's going on. So back to you, Grahame. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that. Next, let's move to the other side of the world and talk to Kato-san in Japan.
And he needs to unmute.
I know it's 4 o'clock in the morning there, Nobu, so thank you very much for joining us.
Ohayou gozaimasu.
Ohayou gozaimasu. Thank you very much for inviting me here, and so honored I feel. And we invited Grahame and Susan to Japan and have a dowsing workshop here. And last year, Susan had an online workshop for Japanese people. And in Japan also, it's not easy situation here, and so many people are down, and somebody so depressed. And we have no choice. Many people use online and like Zoom, but sometimes people are tired with that and want to meet, but it's impossible. And I'm not the best person to mention about the medical things, but one thing, we have to make our mind right. Everybody try to do that. And personally, I go into the mountain and walk a lot, or doing the gym exercise. I like Susan. But one thing, it's very important thing is don't stop and try to be active. And I'm going to publish one book, translated book, very famous book, Letter to Robin. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And book is also beneficial, and they, it's not quite different from the web. And after this publish, I'm thinking about to have the online workshop of Grahame and Susan, and maybe other people. I'm trying to connect with many dowsers abroad. Oh.
Yeah, I think that is one of the big advantage of this online technology that we have. We do have a wider reach. We can connect with many more people. Whether it is financially viable remains to be seen in many cases, but just the outreach we have I think is great. That's been one big improvement of the situation. So okay, let's move. We've heard from all the sort of national societies now. Let's hear from the one of the local groups. Gwyn Pollitt is the chair of the Devon Dowsers, who have been very active down in the southwest of Britain. Gwyn, how are things down there?
Well, thanks very much for asking us along, Graham and Susan. Well, it was a scary time back in March. We got our first lockdown. We were looking at what was going on with northern Italy, and we were finding ourselves in a similar situation. A lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, and we were faced with a choice. We were concerned about our members. We had about 100 then, around about March, I think it was, and a lot of them are older and some vulnerable. We felt that we're here to provide a service, so we had a choice. We stand in the track of fear and do nothing much, or we put the love out there and get into action, and that's what we chose to do. It's a bit like riding quick bikes. When you're faced with an unforeseen hazard, you either brake and take the consequences, or you accelerate hard, and that's what we decided to do. So the first thing we did was, on our website, we created a tab called self-help, and we made various headings within that, things like dowsing techniques, dowsing for health. Barry Whitten very kindly offered his excellent book or booklet, which is, what's it called? I'm looking here on my notes. Dowsing for your health and well-being and lifestyle changes, and it's great resource. You can go through it, lots of lists, and check out your vitamins, check out your minerals, check out your gut biome, and goodness knows everything else, sleep patterns, whatever. And we sharing that digitally with us. And equally, he created a COVID protocol, which was focused on the immune system and what we could do to help ourselves. We also put up information around dowsing in the garden, which frankly probably kept most of us sane. Those of us lucky enough to have a garden over the last year, or just planting anything, was helpful and kind of therapeutic. Exercise as well, so lots of good ideas up there about exercise and videos. Thank you, Alex, for getting Donna Eden's video up there and getting us all sorted out energetically, and I think that one was focused on increasing the strength of your immune system as well. And just amazingly, Donna Eden is going to give us a session in the autumn or over the winter, so thank you, Donna. That's absolutely brilliant. We're really excited about that. What else do we do? Healing circles. Thanks, Kaz, for some of your work that you go. So how to build your own stone circle or labyrinth. I know that Joe and Alan did one, brilliant. And we had poems and music, uplifting stuff. So thank you to Sally Kunis for many good poems, great stuff. Now what we'd started just before lockdown was what we call dowsing development groups, which what we found was we have a lot of talks through the year, one a month. And it's very easy to have talks and not talk about dowsing. Most of them are pretty tangential. And they look at the modalities, mainly energy work, focusing on actual nuts and bolts of dowsing. We didn't really have a space for that. So we created one, we call them dowsing development groups, get the words out. And we'd had 2 in Totnes. Amanda Pete had run those, and they were very successful. So we thought, right, let's get them online. So we did, thanks to Amanda, who lent us her Zoom account. And we carried on with those. She ran one at the weekend, and so we doubled up and we made another one, and that was running one evening. And thanks, Steve, for doing a great job running that one. So it's a safe space where we can talk about dowsing and any troubles, problems, ideas, techniques, and share. So that's been a very important part of what we do. We also had Zoom talks. We had talks booked, which we again transferred across to Zoom. And I think Sean Ferris from Totnes, medical dowser, brilliant talk on his passion, chasing dragons across Devon. And that was the first one. And Nigel Twing gave us an excellent talk on his latest book, Frye at the Margins. And it was around about then that the local groups got into conversation, we collaborated and decided that let's do this together. So Jill and John Moss down in Trancron, which is far southwest of Cornwall, Denise Lockwood and Nigel in the east of Cornwall, who run Tamar, Yvette and Judith in Somerset. Sadly, we lost Matt French during the course. Well, after Christmas, I think it was. They've been holding the fort, and Sue Scott Powell over in Thames Valley, a bit further across from the southwest, but welcome her aboard. And together we worked out how we're going to do this, share the Zoom, share the talks, and Tamar and us share the hosting, and it's worked really well. So lots of speakers there. And the amazing thing was, of course, geography became irrelevant. So Patrick came along, he was in Vermont, Patrick Manaway. Susan's been up from Canada, Grahame from Scotland, that faraway place that's trying to get further away from us.
We're digging the trench.
Who else? We've had Jim Willis from South Carolina. Richard Nissen from London. So folk from all over the world. And amazingly, one of the great scoops, thank you, Sian Wilson, who located, because she follows Veda Austin, located her in a hotel room in New Zealand where she lives, just come back. She was having to self-isolate and was holed up in her hotel, and she gave us a talk, and it was just the most amazing talk, blew us away. I left speechless. If you haven't come across Veda, check her out. She's a water researcher and an artist, and it's just all into water consciousness. Fantastic, wonderful speech, wonderful talk. So what was very important was that we were asked to record these, and we said no. We were hanging by a thread in terms of keeping the community together, and if we showed up in one space at the same time, that's what it was all about in terms of the talks. So we have about 100 to 230, I think 240 on Zoom, and just to be able to see each other and check each other out, and that we're still all here, and to wave hi. You might not be able to talk and hold a conversation, but you can see each other, and that community was really important in my view, and I think in others, just to keep it going.
Yeah, I think it's really been great the way you've all connected. I mean, it seems there's almost a talk every week practically.
Well, we have, yeah, that was something that happened. We doubled up, so we had 2 talks instead of 1 talk a month. We have 2, and then we have workshops. In Devon Dowsers, we have the workshops, which we've had some brilliant ones from Dr. Steve Dexter on bird spirit medicine, plant consciousness, the 4 elements, crystal connection. Susan gave us an excellent one on dowsing for your health, which is great. Emma Kunis on sacred spaces, and we actually get to do some dowsing, which is excellent, even though we weren't able to get out. I think we did manage to do some of that with Karen's. Go and find your tree, go and connect with nature and a bird, see what messages they've got. And that was powerful stuff, really moving. So yeah, we've had some great workshops on Zoom. It surprised me how well they worked. We also had a Zoom social once a month. So we just got together. Anybody who wanted to, didn't have an agenda, just showed up, a bit like in the middle of a meeting, you have a break, or at the end of the meeting, just have a chat. And we did that, and that was great. Even on Christmas Day, Dinah Burton ran that while she was basting her turkey. She was on Zoom, along with whoever wanted to show up. And we also have a Dowsing book and video club, which we started once a month, which has been brilliant. Thank you, Martin Blatchett, for doing that and leading it. So our members can choose a book or a theme in a book. Not everybody's got the books, so they can find a book with the same theme in, or if they got none of those books, then we send links to videos, and then we discuss them and learn from them and so forth. And the first occasion we had one of the authors turn up, which was Amanda Pete. A brilliant book that she's written, one of our members, Mind Your Mind, unmissable, you must get that. Check out all your your hidden stuckness. And Susan's kindly offered to come along this month, I believe. Susan, you're
Yep,
coming along later.
27th.
So it's an opportunity for authors to promote their works about dowsing, and equally for us to learn, which is his primary objective. And thanks, Grahame, for offering too. We look forward to having a date from you.
You're very welcome.
So we've been busy, and the whole point was to provide a service to our members and to keep the community going. So we gave a free year in November 2020 to, it had been such an awful time, and we could afford to, so it was great that we were able to do that. So for people who already were members, and we held our AGM in November on Zoom, and the overall opinion was it went better than the normal ones. So I think we might repeat that. Yeah, it's interesting.
And the talks are open to anyone to log in and view, aren't they? They're not limited to members. So if people want to come along into a particular talk, they can just get in touch and request. Is that right? Or am I in a privileged position?
Yeah, I mean, obviously our members have paid their subscription and they party to that's what their benefit is. If we have had requests from friends, could they come and join a particular, we say yes. And then if it's probably a yes once, and then if they so like that, if they like it so much, well, they can come along and join us, that's the deal.
Yeah, sure.
So future plans, well, we are so relieved that we can actually get outside now. So I mean, it's called lockdown, but it wasn't really, was it? It was lockup, and we've been locked up for a long while. So we, as from the 17th of May, we're allowed out in groups of 30, no less. So we are desperate to get out and do some dowsing. We're very lucky in the southwest, got a lot of ancient sites on Dartmoor and Bodmin, down in Penwith. So we're out there on the 22nd of May.
Excellent.
And yes, working out workshops, talks for next autumn. And the big one is next summer, June 11th and 12th, South Seal, the Southwest Dowsing Festival, D-Fest we call it, the Southwest Dowsing Festival in South Seal. Remember its name, South Seal, fantastic village, medieval village on the northern edge of Dartmoor. We go to about 10 sites around Dartmoor and can douse them, stone circles, stone rows, all sorts of interesting places, holy wells. And also we have workshops and we have speakers. And Grahame, you've already booked your ticket.
No, I managed to get a refund on that eventually.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you there. Two excellent pubs. One of them is 13th century, no less. If you stay there, you can stay in a 4-poster bed. It used to be a monastery. It's got a menhir in it, stone circle in the backyard, and the camping field in the other pub. So not too far to stumble. I'm
so looking forward to getting there.
It'll be great. And Peter and Sue, we're looking forward to having you there as well. So it'd be great to see you there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
it's
for
a lot
that,
of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Peter, let's talk to you too, because I know you and Sue are great ones for getting around the country and running tours and visiting sites and running guided tours. And obviously you haven't been able to do that. So how's it been for you?
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Get some issue. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having us along, by the way. Yeah, we've got two hats on really. We're on the student group of the Wiltshire Dowsers. Of course, Wiltshire is a county absolutely stuffed full of sacred sites, Stonehenge, Avebury, etc. So while the lockdown's been on, we've been doing Zoom meetings and we've had our email newsletter, of course, and we've tried to keep active on Facebook to keep everybody together. I think it is important, as Gwyn says, to kind of keep everybody in touch. But our other hat really is Stone Seeker Tours and Publishing, and we do mindful connecting with the land and all sorts of things under the Stone Seeker umbrella based on our 13 books. And it was weird this year, wasn't it, last year, rather?
It was horrible, horrible, hated it. But yes, there was always the upside. We were forced to be still. Normally we're rushing around the country and doing our talks and our tours, but we were just forced to be still, to stay at home, and just to observe nature, which was wonderful. And just sort of take a restock, really, of our lives. And I think probably most people would agree with that. We've all had to review our own lives. And for us, that turned out to be quite interesting, in that Peter was revealed a task to do. Perhaps you'd like to explain.
Yeah,
the book.
we've got a tiny little stone circle in our garden, and I was sitting in it in the middle of the first lockdown, and I was just sitting on the earth and saying, what are we meant to do with this time? What are we meant to do? It just came into my head, you've got to write a book. You've got to, or rather do an anthology, and get, in the end, it turned out to be 50 people, including Grahame.
Yes.
50 people to write a short chapter on their subject, but also about connecting with the earth, how we're going to use things practically, and how they could see a post-COVID world developing. And it was called Sensing the Earth, Messages from the Vision Keepers. And you know, that was a gift, really, of lockdown. And it was a weird thing, really. You know, we were doing this positive thing out of lockdown, and people were writing the articles, and it was really weird. We were sitting, you know, writing this book and walking out on the land as people were dying. You know, did you get that feeling? It was a real strange space. You know, it was almost, you know, do we deserve to be in this space? Because we're really shielded in a sense, you know. So it was a real strange time, but the book was birthed out of it, and these 50 very skillful, you know, expert people put a wonderful book together for us, really. And a lot of it is about connecting with the earth, and there was a few dowsers wrote articles for it, and connecting with nature, because for us, that's the bottom line, really. If anything, for me personally, dowsing proved to me that there is something beyond the physical. I think that's the one thing I've got out of dowsing. There is spirit, there is consciousness in nature, and you felt that since you were a child, didn't you?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. The earth is very special. Don't need to tell all you guys that. And the energies that are running through the earth, I've always sensed them to some degree. So when I was introduced to dowsing, although it was from a health perspective initially, I cottoned onto it very quickly. And it's been part of my life for the past 30 years. So it's hugely important. And I so desperately want to try and pass on that information to people and see other people get it. So when I'm teaching someone dowsing and they're saying, no, this doesn't work for me, and I just say, keep persevering. Let's just walk across here with angle rods usually, and then you see them get it and it clicks. You think, wow, it's just so amazing. And that to me is just so important, to just connecting people with that same magic, and it changes their lives like it changed mine. It's just so wonderful.
It's been really sad that we haven't been able to take people out on the land. I think the way we've developed over the last few years, although Zoom is wonderful, and this is, I mean, look what we're doing tonight. It's just absolutely, it's magic, isn't it? Gandalf would call it magic, what we're doing tonight. And but we more and more over the years now are concentrating, taking people out onto the land and getting them hands-on, you know, hands-on, connecting with a tree or a long barrow. We do shamanic drumming in caves, and you know, we take people out on the land, out onto Dartmoor twice a year for weekends, and we usually try and bring most of them back alive, don't we? We usually succeed most of the times doing that. And we were fortunate last summer, we actually did our 2 Dartmoor weekends, our mindful walking, because if you remember, there was a bit of a lapse in the summer where you could actually take people out unshackled. And so we're really lucky in that respect. I think that's more the joy we get more than anything is going out onto the land ourselves, but connecting with people to the land in a way that they never thought possible. I think everybody's got a shaman inside us. You know, everybody's got the healer inside us, and it's been, you know, it's been suppressed, hasn't it, for too long.
Yeah. And what changes did you notice in the land?
Well, initially, wonderfully, how quiet it was, because everyone was stuck at home. So no traffic, no planes, no factories chugging away. And so we could hear nature itself. You could almost hear the grass growing. It was wonderful. We saw spring evolve and erupt in the most beautiful of ways. And that was just so special. And the earth itself, just, it was like there was like a reset going on. That the earth was just breathing a sigh of relief. That all this crazy activity that we're normally up to has just stopped, and that was just wonderful. This was particularly noticeable in the first lockdown that we had last spring. It hasn't been quite so noticeable since the subsequent lockdowns, because a lot more people seem to be still moving around, and I don't know quite what the difference was and why. That when everyone was shut in their homes, it was just magical, because it was so peaceful. And just to listen to the birds singing, it was just nature talking to us.
I think nature kept us sane. I think it did a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think we'd have just about killed each other in here if we. Yeah, I think as well as more people are connecting with nature now. Cycling has never been as popular, as it was already said. Dowsing has never been as popular, and I think for us personally, I think for a lot of other people, we were made to question what really matters in this world, you know. And we have a saying that we don't waste our time on things we can't change, but we are so passionate about the things we can. And you know, so we don't bother with conspiracies anymore and all that sort of thing. And you know, you can't be adding love into the world when you're into conspiracies. That's my personal take on things. So my advice to everybody really is just to concentrate on what you can change positively in the world. And I think a lot of people, a lot of the general public picked up on that as well, didn't they? So that's a good positive to come out of that. And we need some positives to come out of COVID. And there are some.
Yeah. Excellent, thank you. Let me turn now to Dubai. And Jin, I last saw you when you visited me in Glasgow.
Can he please unmute?
Oh, I just done that. So
oh, thank you so much.
Welcome. Yes, Graham, it's nice to see you in Glasgow in 2018. And we met at the Feng Shui conference in Lisbon a few months before that. So that was 3 years ago.
Yeah, tell me how things are in Dubai.
Well, I'm lucky to be here in Dubai because, you know, it's an international city and they depend on tourism and travel to survive. And we have had a lot of vaccinations over here. I think Dubai and Israel were some of the countries were very aggressive in vaccinating the whole population. And over in Dubai, the vaccines are offered to anyone who is a resident, anyone who's a citizen. So most of us here are residents because the citizens here are only like 10%. So we're very lucky to have gotten our 2 doses usually by now. So more than half the population has been vaccinated. So because of that, the city is open. There are restrictions on table numbers in restaurants, but cinemas are open. They've had a few concerts, but with social distancing, of course, and hotels are open, and almost most things are open here. So
and how's your work been doing? I mean, I know you're not specifically a dowser, but you know, Feng Shui has many similarities.
Yeah, so what I do is that I consult and teach in Feng Shui and also Chinese astrology. And prior to the lockdown, I was teaching a lot of Chinese astrology classes around the world. So I was traveling a lot to Russia. I went to Australia. I was teaching in Germany and also in Portugal, of course, where we met. And so, yes, I mean, of course, all that traveling stopped. I mean, Dubai was very good for that because Dubai is like the center of the world and very well connected for traveling. You can fly to 6 continents from here. But of course, now with the situation, I'm just doing mostly Zoom. So today I had a Zoom class over in Moscow in the morning, and then in the afternoon I Zoomed with 2 students in Chile and Argentina. So that's the beauty of the world we're living in now. You can Zoom teach with different continents in one day due to the difference in time zones. And tonight I'm talking to everyone here, and you're spread across the globe too.
Yeah. Do you find your work is harder or easier on Zoom?
Well, of course, the numbers, the classes can't be as big, and some students don't really study that well on a Zoom level. And like, for example, with Russia, we have to, because I go through a translator, so we have to minimize the time that we have in front of the screen. But then I did a class with Germany 2 weeks ago, and we managed to do 6 hours over 4 days with breaks in between, of course. So of course, the class numbers have gone down. But of course, the beauty is I've been getting more private students who can contact me from anywhere around the world, and we can do an individual Zoom class. And I also kept in touch with my teacher, Lily Chung, over in San Francisco recently. And so now we're also keeping in touch through Zoom. So the beauty is that I suppose we have more quality now rather than quantity.
And does Chinese astrology have anything to say about the pandemics?
Yes, of course, I get asked that a lot by the students, and obviously a lot of my colleagues in the industry have been talking about it as well. And also a lot of friends always ask me what is Chinese astrology take on the situation. And well, the talk in my industry, or in the Chinese astrology industry, is that things can get moving in the year of the tiger next year, because the tiger is considered one of the traveling animals. And of course, the next traveling animal after that will be the year of the snake, which is 2025. But of course, I mean, we have to be realistic here, because I mean, I'm cautiously hoping that things can open up in the year of the tiger next year. But I mean, from my own personal experience, my own personal feeling, I feel that, what we're in is more like a global war. And of course, the Second World War lasted from 1939 to 1945. So perhaps 2025 is a more realistic expectation. But of course, from the Chinese astrology world, we're hoping that 2022, especially June, because summertime, because the energy of the pandemic is actually metal. And last year was a metal rat year, and this year is a metal ox year. And the element that controls metal is fire. So next year's the tiger year, and the tiger has fire. So we're hoping that things can improve. But of course, in 2026 is the fire horse year. So definitely, I would say by that time, things would have improved. So I'm personally, on my own personal level, I'm looking at it like a global war. So we need some time. A lot of students and a lot of clients are being very impatient. They're pushing, and they were hoping, like even last year, people were hoping that things would resolve by the end of summer in 2020, but that hasn't been the case, as we've noticed.
Yeah. That's an interesting perspective. It's going to be a global war. Yeah. So,
yeah, it's a different perspective from the Chinese astrology field. And you also wanted to ask, I mean, how we can use Feng Shui in our lives now. So I think, because we're all mostly limited to where we are living. So of course, the important thing is that you should work well, sit with your back to the wall, face a good direction for you. That's why I'm sitting with my back to the wall here, as you notice, and facing the door. And so you need to work in a place where you're happy. And of course, sleep is very important, because we're sleeping hopefully 8 hours a day. So you need to make sure that your head is pointed in a good direction, pointing to a wall. There's no window above you. You're not in the path of the door. The toilet is not in the same wall behind you. And then you obviously have a room which is very yin. So not too much sunlight, not too much light. And that's how you can help yourself. So in times like this, it's very important to be in a place where you work well, you sleep well, and also your kitchen. Make sure your kitchen where you're eating well, you're cooking well, where the stove is located. And that's the 3 main things of Feng Shui, sleeping, working, and eating.
Well, certainly I noticed we've been much more experimental in the kitchen with trying lots of new recipes over the last year, which has been really good, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when you're cooking, you're giving your own energy to your food. And of course, you're cooking it with love for yourself and for your family members. And I think, of course, that would be dining out every day at a different restaurant. So I think for the people, it's a good time to discover your own energy and those with your family as well.
Great. Thank you. Let me turn to our last guest, Danny Blitz. Now, Danny, we've never actually met in person, but I asked you here because you produced this wonderful web series, Superpowers, which had this rather nice segment on dowsing featuring my good self and Patrick McManaway. So can you tell us a bit about why you chose to put dowsing in the series?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like you have to almost ask, why wouldn't you, right? Because if this is a docuseries that is showing, it's talking about what scientists and researchers and doctors are finding about our intuitive abilities, well, that's an umbrella term for all of the energies that we use that are surrounding us, that are in us, and that are outside and everywhere. So to have dowsing in the picture gives us kind of that proof that that energy is there and that it's working. And if you did a terrific demonstrations, I should say, several, about and explained really clearly about using it as a tool to ask questions, to find answers, to, of course, connect with the energies around us. Earth, the animals, the water, what does it take to find your inner truth? And I noticed that some of us were talking about that, kind of dilemma of COVID, and giving us an opportunity to really think about and reflect on what is our truth. And again, right, I agree. Let's not worry about the possibilities of what's outside, of what's happening, but to really go inside and figure out what is your truth, what do you need to do to survive, really beyond surviving. And when I say survive, I mean to take care of one's health and to do what one needs to do to stay strong, but also to find your joy and moving forward in your joy. There was so much deer you caught in headlights during COVID. Who could adapt and just pivot and move forward, and others needed to just be quiet. They needed to put on the brakes for a while and think and take in stuff maybe they'd never taken the time to take in. So I do see it as a beautiful opportunity to do that. And this film, I feel like couldn't have been more beautifully timed. Of course, we didn't plan COVID, but it was, it was an opportunity kind of after the fact, after everyone had to slow down, to really help people to pay attention more, I think, to this film, because they had to slow down and maybe rethink a few things. And maybe some revelations occurred that has to do with connecting more intuitively and using our abilities and realizing some of those things that are being said out there in the world may not be so true after all. And what am I going to do about that? What are you going to do about that? And so we each need to find our answers. It isn't, what is everybody else going to do? And that's what I'm going to do. It's what am I going to do? And so reconnecting. And I think dowsing gives us a beautiful demonstration on how we can connect, how we can get some of those answers, especially if we feel like we're not so good at just asking a question. Oh, thanks for the answer. Oh, thanks for that answer. But sometimes we need tools that help us get those answers. And so I was thrilled, Grahame, for that moment that England opened up. It's like I wasn't allowed in my country. I had my bags ready to go, and American Airlines wouldn't let me out. But I'm so glad that you went through with that. During that time that you were allowed out, we were thrilled. The film was halfway through filming when COVID hit, and I wasn't going to just stop. I was fully invested in this, so I had to find a way to figure this out. And we did that, and I'm so grateful for you, Grahame, for just doing everything that you did. A few things were very last minute because of the developments that were happening last minute. We did
have to wing it rather a lot, yeah.
We really did. And, you know, what did I call you 1 or 2 days in advance to say, Graham, things have changed a little bit. I can't get there right now. And this is what we're going to do. And you're like,
it was certainly different being directed by WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But we had a local crew there, and they were wonderful. And, you know, it all came together. It was like, as soon as I realized how we needed to pivot, things started flowing again. Things were flowing beautifully until COVID. We hit that wall, and then it's like, ooh, what do we do next? Oh, okay, let's try that. And it worked. And finished the film up. We did like literally half the other interviews that way in different ways. I still did a lot of traveling. We still did a lot of face-to-face, and others we had to, like Patrick, we had to do what we did, you know, something a little bit different too. So Patrick McManaway, for our audience there, also talking about dowsing and the energies of the earth and the elementals. And it was a beautiful presentation between the two of you, I think, that we had to begin to get an understanding of what dowsing is.
Yeah. What was the inspiration for you to make the whole series of movies in the first place?
Well, interestingly, you know, it had to do with the health of our children while I was raising my daughter. I'd never seen so many problems with children. And we live in a very privileged area. So we don't get to blame all the usual things that are blamed. Inner city, single parenting, not educated, all that stuff. We don't get to blame any of that. And still, these kids were cutting, committing suicide, mental concerns, physical, you know, gut issues starting at 7 years old. So, you know, an entire classrooms having to be out for 2 weeks, including the teacher. I'd never seen so much illness in all kinds of ways. So that really disturbed me, and I really felt helpless. And I thought all my life, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? So this was the solution, because I thought, well, what am I doing? You know, what am I doing right? What is the difference between what I'm doing and what others are not doing? And it all boiled down to, because I'm listening to what my inner guides are telling me to do. I'm listening to the earth. I'm listening to the birds. I'm listening to my spirit guides. I'm listening to everything, and I'm continually navigating that way. So, and I saw that other people were listening to the outside. This is what my doctors are telling me to do. This is what my priests are telling me to do. And it was just one not helpful decision after the next, because they were doing what everybody else was doing. And so I say, well, that's interesting, because we find ourselves all collectively in a similar situation now. We can choose to listen to what the outside is telling us to do, or we can collect ourselves individually and figure out what is right for me, what is right for my family, what is really going on. And I might not have all the answers, but at least I can navigate according to what my guides are telling me to do. And so it's just, that's why I'm saying this time right now couldn't be more perfect for this film, because we can all understand from the same base, right? Which is, you know, what we're dealing with worldwide right now.
Yeah, well, I think the series has been really great. It's still available. People can go and check it out, and you can purchase a package. And I'm in it, so it's got to be good.
Right. Yeah, it's a 12-episode series. It's watch.superpowerfilm.com, and you can look at the different packages, different kinds of content and different packages. Moving forward, we hope to gain more of a way where we can have people come together and actually put things in action now. So we're looking for the viewer to now work it, right? It's like, we don't want to just talk at you. We want you to do it. We want you to like really try this stuff on. And so we're, you know, with content, that we're working on right now and in the future, we want that collective activity so that we can all really start doing it more.
Great, thank you so much. I think that's been an hour we've been on, so we should move towards wrapping things up a bit. What
Well,
do you think,
Grahame,
Susan?
Grahame, I don't think you've really spoken about what you've been doing, so I'd love to hear what you're up to.
Like everybody, it's been difficult keeping things going, but I did manage to find a strange creativity at the start of lockdown, as did Peter. I wrote a book and I published another book, the Roy and Anne Proctor classic book, Healing Sick Houses, which was originally published in 2000 and has long been out of print. So they asked me if I would republish that. So I did that. So that's 2 books I produced. Like yourself, I did some online workshops. I made a film with Danny. Yeah, we try and keep busy.
We try and keep busy. I think that is a real summary of what we're all trying to do.
Yeah, and I still managed to do a few dowsing clients just working remotely as well. But it has been difficult getting out. There are some days you go by and you think, oh, God, I haven't been out of the house this week. I need to go for a walk. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, Susan, do you want to wrap things up?
Well, I've just put everybody on gallery view so the world can see you again. I thank you so much for participating and for struggling through the tech and all the rest of it, but we've done that. And Grahame, you are always amazing. Grahame's podcasts, Adventures in Dowsing, are where are they, Grahame, that you can promote that?
AdventuresInDowsing.com.
Yeah, fabulous stuff. So I think we'll end. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you when it's possible once again.
And thank you to all our speakers for joining us.
Bye-bye. The live stream is stopped, and